Have you ever agreed to something and then immediately wished you had said no? You were already tired, already busy, but somehow the word yes came out before you could stop it.
Oh, I know that feeling. You hang up the phone and think, why did I just say yes to that?
Today we are talking about how to say no to other people without guilt, without drama, and without losing yourself in the process. Stay with us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to English for Today podcast. I am your host, Lisa, and this is episode 4.
And I am John. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
In every episode, John and I have a real conversation in English about topics from everyday life so you can practice your listening, build your vocabulary, and grow your confidence.
We speak clearly and at a comfortable pace so you can follow along and pick up useful phrases at the same time.
Before we start, if you are enjoying this podcast, please subscribe so you never miss a new episode. It really helps us to keep making content for you.
And leave us a comment below. We would love to know where in the world you are listening from today.
Okay, today's topic is saying no to other people. Let's get into it.
Lisa, I want to start with a personal question. Would you say you are good at saying no to people?
Honestly, no, not naturally. I used to say yes to almost everything. A colleague needs a favor, yes. A friend wants help moving house on a Sunday, yes. Extra work with an impossible deadline, yes.
You were a yes machine.
Completely. And the problem was, every yes meant less time and energy for the things that actually mattered to me. I was constantly busy, but not in a way I had chosen.
I think a lot of people listening right now feel exactly that way. Saying no feels hard, almost wrong. Why do you think that is?
I think it comes from how many of us were raised. We were taught that helping others is good, that being kind means saying yes, so saying no starts to feel selfish or unkind.
And that is exactly how a people pleaser is made.
Yes, let's explain that phrase, because it describes so many people. A people pleaser means someone who finds it very difficult to say no. They always put other people's needs and feelings before their own, even when it comes at a personal cost. For example, she was a people pleaser her whole career. She never said no, and she was completely exhausted.
And that phrase, at a personal cost, is the key part. The person who always says yes often ends up paying a price in their health, their energy, or their happiness.
And the sad thing is, it does not actually help other people as much as we think. When you say yes to everything, the quality of what you give goes down.
So the first step is recognizing the pattern. But even once we decide we want to say no, there is that feeling that gets in the way.
The guilt.
Yes. Have you felt that? Even when you knew the no was right?
Oh, constantly. Even now, if I say no to a friend, there is a little voice in my head saying, "You are being selfish. You should have helped. What will they think of you now?"
To feel guilty means to have a sense of responsibility or regret for something you have done, or in this case, for something you chose not to do. For example, she felt guilty for saying no to her colleague, even though she was already stretched too thin.
And here is the important thing. Guilt is not always a sign that you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt is just your old habit pushing back. It is the old version of you saying, "We never used to do this."
Exactly. You can feel the guilt and still hold your decision. The guilt does not have to win.
That was a huge shift for me, learning that I could feel uncomfortable and still not change my answer.
Let's talk about what happens when we never say no. What does that life actually look like?
Exhausting. Your calendar is full, your energy is low, and nothing gets your full attention because there is simply too much on your plate.
There is a word for this: overcommitting. And I think most people have been there at some point.
To overcommit means to agree to do more things than you can realistically manage, leaving you with not enough time, energy, or focus for any of them. For example, he overcommitted himself completely. He had 3 deadlines the same week and could not focus on any of them.
And the irony, when you overcommit, you often let people down anyway. because you cannot give everything the attention it deserves.
So the yes that felt kind at the time ends up being a worse answer than a clear no would have been.
A half-hearted yes can be worse than an honest no. That took me a long time to really believe.
So, how do we get better at this? How do we start saying no without it feeling like we are being cold or difficult?
I think it starts with learning to be assertive. And I want to be clear, assertive is not the same as aggressive or rude. A lot of people mix those up.
Yes, there is a big difference. Can you explain it?
Assertive means communicating your needs, opinions, and limits clearly and confidently, without being aggressive or passive. For example, she was assertive in the meeting. She said no to the extra project calmly and clearly, without apologizing or getting angry.
And the opposite of assertive is passive, where you go along with whatever other people want, even when it does not work for you.
Being assertive is actually respectful to yourself and to the other person. You are not attacking them. You are just being honest and clear.
And I have found that people trust you more when you are assertive, because they know that when you say yes, you actually mean it.
Let's get practical. What does it actually sound like to say no politely? What are some phrases we can use?
One thing that helped me was having a few ready phrases so I was not trying to think of what to say in the moment. Things like, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not able to take that on right now. Or, that sounds great, but it's not something I can commit to.
To turn down means to politely refuse a request. You are not ignoring the person. You are giving them a clear and honest answer. For example, she turned down the extra project calmly and without a long explanation.
And you do not owe anyone a long explanation. No thank you is a complete sentence. We often feel like we need to write an essay justifying every no.
I would love to help, but on that particular Tuesday, I have a very complicated situation involving my dog, my dentist, and a broken washing machine.
Yes, we have all been there. The more you over explain, the less convincing you sound. A calm, brief no is usually far more powerful.
But what about when someone pushes back? You say no, and they keep asking, or they guilt trip you.
This is the real test. A lot of people say no once, feel the pressure, and then cave just to end the discomfort. That is where you need to stand your ground.
To stand your ground means to firmly hold your position or decision, even when someone is pressuring you to change it. For example, she stood her ground and said no a second time, calmly and without anger, and eventually they accepted it.
You can be warm and still be firm. Something like, I understand this is disappointing, but my answer is still no. You are not attacking, you are just holding your line.
And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. The first few times feel very uncomfortable, but over time, people learn where your limits are, and they respect them.
One of the biggest fears around saying no is, what if I let someone down? What if they are disappointed or upset with me?
That fear is real, and I think it stops so many people from ever saying no at all.
To let someone down means to disappoint them by not doing what they expected or hoped you would do. For example, I was afraid I would let my team down by saying no, but they understood completely and appreciated my honesty.
And here is the perspective shift. Letting yourself down over and over again to avoid disappointing someone else. That is not sustainable. You are a person too.
And most of the time, the disappointment the other person feels is temporary. But the resentment you build by saying yes when you mean no, that stays much longer.
That resentment is actually a warning sign. When you start feeling annoyed at the person who asked, even though they did nothing wrong, that is a sign you have been saying yes too much.
So, how do we know when to say no? How do we know where to draw the line?
Great question. For me, it comes down to three things. Does this fit my priorities? Do I have the genuine time and energy to do this well? And am I saying yes because I want to, or because I am afraid to say no?
That third question is the most important one. A yes out of fear is very different from a yes out of genuine willingness.
To draw the line means to reach a point beyond which you are not willing to go. It is a personal limit you set and hold to, even under pressure. For example, she drew the line at working on weekends. That was her personal time, and she protected it firmly.
And everyone's line is different. Mine will look different from yours. The important thing is knowing where it is and being willing to communicate it.
Not aggressively, just clearly. This is what works for me. This is what does not.
If someone is listening and they find it really hard to say no, where would you tell them to start?
Start small. Say no to something low stakes this week. A social event you do not really want to attend. A task you can genuinely not take on. And notice what happens.
Most of the time, nothing terrible happens, the world keeps going, and you feel a little more like yourself.
Because every no that aligns with your values is an act of self-respect. It is not selfish. It is honest.
Beautifully said. All right, let's go to our vocabulary recap. All right, time for the vocabulary recap. Let's go through today's key phrases one more time, slowly and clearly.
You heard all of these in the conversation. Hearing them again will help them stick in your memory.
Number 1, people pleaser.
A people pleaser means someone who finds it very difficult to say no. They always put other people's needs and feelings before their own, even when it comes at a personal cost. Example: he was a people pleaser for years. He never said no to anyone, and eventually his health suffered. Number 2, feel guilty.
To feel guilty means to have a sense of responsibility or regret for something you have done, or in this case, for something you chose not to do. Example: I used to feel guilty every time I said no, even when I was completely justified. Number 3, overcommit.
To overcommit means to agree to do more things than you can realistically manage, leaving you with not enough time, energy, or focus for any of them. Example: she overcommitted herself in January and burned out by March. Number 4, assertive.
Assertive means communicating your needs, opinions, and limits clearly and confidently without being aggressive or passive. Example: learning to be assertive was the most useful thing she did for her career. Number 5, turn down.
To turn down means to politely refuse a request. You are not ignoring the person. You are giving them a clear and honest answer. Example: he turned down the offer politely and suggested someone else who might be able to help. Number 6, stand your ground.
To stand your ground means to firmly hold your position or decision even when someone is pressuring you to change it. Example: despite the pressure from her manager, she stood her ground and kept her weekend plans. Number 7, let someone down.
To let someone down means to disappoint them by not doing what they expected or hoped you would do. Example: she was terrified of letting her team down, but when she explained her situation, they completely understood. And number 8, draw the line.
To draw the line means to reach a point beyond which you are not willing to go. It is a personal limit you set and hold to, even under pressure. Example: he drew the line at answering work emails after 8 p.m., and he never looked back.
8 great phrases, and one big reminder. Saying no is not the end of a relationship. It is the start of an honest one.
And that is a wrap for episode 4 of English for Today podcast. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
We hope today's conversation gave you some useful vocabulary and maybe a little courage to say no when you need to.
Here is your challenge for this week. Say no to one thing you would normally say yes to out of guilt or habit. Then write in the comments, what did you say no to and how did it feel? Use one of today's phrases if you can.
We read every single comment and we would love to hear from you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to English for Today podcast. It is completely free and it really helps us to grow.
And share this episode with someone who needs a gentle reminder that no is a complete sentence.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking English with confidence. I am Lisa, and this has been English for Today podcast. Bye.
Bye.